They didn't even try to be subtle about it anymore. The cafeteria floor lit up every time she walked in, literally. A red triangle pulsed beneath her boots, a blinking caution zone like she was leaking radiation instead of carrying lunch. Contaminant present in nutritional zone. Sanitized proximity, droned the automated voice for the third time that week. Kitana ignored it, as usual. She stepped over the glowing barrier like it was a minor annoyance, not a daily humiliation, and slid into the same back corner seat she'd claimed since her blood status was posted across campus like a bounty. One student gagged as she passed. Another sprayed an anti-corruption mist in the air, then hissed in exaggerated horror when some of it drifted back onto their own tray. She dropped her nutrient pack with a sigh. No one sat within 10 feet. She had her own quarantine zone, her own tray return chute, her own fork decontamination station, her own everything. Including shame. Thanks to some glitch in her parentage, some unstable cross-kin gene expression. As the medics called it, her blood carried faint luminescent traces. Barely visible. Barely dangerous. But enough for the school's purity board to slap the label, blood class Delta Black. Socially unfit. So she was the dirty blood girl. The one they warned the new students about. She stabbed her meal pouch with an unnecessary amount of force. A long strand of viscera vines slapped onto the plate and gave a half-hearted twitch before settling into a gelatinous coil. Across the room, 3 students whispered while side-eyeing her like she might spit venom or explode. One of them pulled out a data slate and began taking notes. She curled her tail around her ankle to stop it from twitching. Her shoulders stiffened. They even used her as a lab topic now. She muttered under her breath. Maybe if I bite one of you, they'll promote me to guest lecturer. The table's surface projected a blinking red symbol. Hazard. Do not share. Yeah, message received, she said flatly. Her fingers hovered over the utensils. The sterilizer hissed at her touch. She was about to dig in when the door slammed open hard enough to make the light panels flicker. Everyone froze. Heads turned. Even the cafeteria drone paused mid-flight. A human walked in. Not just any human. A tall, slightly scruffy one in a loose academy-issue jacket, backpack slung lazily over one shoulder, and an enormous grin that screamed pure impulse control. His hair looked like it had been negotiated with, not styled. He wore sunglasses. Indoors. His shirt read, in loud Earth Standard text, "Bleed first, ask questions later." No one stopped him. No one could figure out how. He passed through the caste-coded meal line without scanning his status. He picked the messiest food available, something fried and dripping, and dumped a mountain of it on a tray without looking. As he turned, someone whispered in horror, "That's a class red meat drip. He's going to contaminate himself." He marched toward the back corner. Toward her. Kitana blinked. No. Surely not. He reached her table. Surely. He sat down. Planted himself right across from her, slapped his tray down with the force of a diplomatic incident, and looked up with an easy smile. "Smells great over here. Mind if I bleed in?" Every table went silent. The cafeteria drone dropped a tray. Kitana stared. "Excuse me?" she asked, trying to pretend her pulse hadn't just gone feral. "I said..." He scooted closer. "Smells great. Thought I'd join. Didn't want to sit up front with the gel snorters." "You..." She leaned in. "You said bleed in?" He grinned. "Yeah." Earth sang. "Means like get cozy. You know, blend vibes. Relax the meat. Relax. The meat." She choked on her water and coughed 3 times. He leaned back. "You okay there? You just declared a blood vow." "A what now?" "On my planet," she said, eyes locked on his. "Sitting across from someone with contaminated blood and inviting them to bleed in is a public bonding ritual. A status merge. Essentially a social engagement." He blinked. "Wait. So I accidentally married you over lunch?" She groaned into her hands. "Look," he said, hands raised. Not saying I wouldn't. You're hot in the glowy veins, don't mess with me kind of way. But I literally just wanted a seat. Why the seat? She hissed. He glanced around. Well, you weren't using half the table, and your food didn't look like it wanted to eat me first. She gaped. You chose to sit next to the dirty blood girl? Dirty? He looked at her food. Honestly, yours looks cleaner than mine. You have no idea what you just did. He bit into something that squirted. You're gonna have to walk me through it. But slowly. I'm new here. Just transferred. Name's Brad, by the way. She squinted at him. You're not afraid of contamination? Brad shrugged. Please. I once ate a space burrito in a black hole fallout zone. I glow in the dark now, but the flavor was worth it. A gasp echoed nearby. Someone ran out of the cafeteria. A group of second years stood in a huddle, whispering furiously and pointing at her. One of them recorded the scene on a hollow slate. Brad, she said slowly, they're going to think we're bloodbound. He looked around. Is that bad? It means I'm your chosen. Officially. Chosen for what? Like a lab partner? More like a lifelong genetic co-investor. Brad paused, chewing. He swallowed. Well, that escalated quickly. She sighed. You need to stand up. Right now. Say it was a misunderstanding. Sure. After lunch. He picked up a fork, stabbed one of her viscera vines, and chewed thoughtfully. I like your taste, he said. She dropped her head to the table. I mean your food. I meant your food, he said quickly. Another gasp. It was too late. Brad's tray was empty, his mouth still moving. I'm just saying. He mumbled through his final bite. On Earth, we eat weird stuff too. Raw fish. Pig intestines. Stuff called blood pudding. You think I'm scared of a glowing noodle? Kitana stared at him like he'd grown a second head. You do realize the entire room now believes I bonded myself to a Terran with no caste, no heritage, and no sense of volume control? He burped. Loudly. A nearby student dropped their spoon and fled. Brad leaned back, satisfied. Hey, you might have just upgraded your social life. I'm what they call an acquired taste. You're what they call a diplomatic incident waiting to happen. He noticed the clusters of alien students watching them with wide, horrified eyes. One scribbled something on a scroll. Another took a slow bite of their meal while keeping eye contact with Brad, as if expecting him to sprout tentacles. What's with the stares? He asked. Blood bonding is not casual here, Kitana muttered. It's serious. Ritualistic. In public, it's binding. You've made a claim. They think you staked me. Brad's eyebrows lifted. Staked you? Wow. I usually at least buy dinner first. Stop talking. I'm just clarifying. Do they think I own you now? Kitana narrowed her eyes. No. Worse. They think I own you. He blinked. So you're saying I've been claimed? Yes. He looked oddly pleased. Hot. That wasn't a compliment. Well, it sounds like I'm your boyfriend now. You're my blood consort in the eyes of half the campus. So, upgrade? She glared. I've gone from social leper to scandalous noble in bond. You've unintentionally triggered 3 traditions, 2 laws, and at least 1 mating challenge. He grinned. Mating challenge? Do I have to fight someone? Not someone. Multiple someones. Most likely with fluids. He blinked again. I should have brought a towel. She slapped her hand to her forehead. Moments later, a tall, purple-skinned alien girl stomped toward their table with the determination of someone raised on ceremonial knives and public drama. Her voice echoed through the room. By blood right and ritual law, I challenge the bond for the Terran male. Brad slowly turned to Kitana. Is this the part where someone tries to stab me for my DNA? Just stay calm. I'm always calm. You're vibrating. That's adrenaline. Kitana stood, expression deadly flat. Blood challenges require a response. It's tradition. Do I have to take my shirt off? No. Do I have to oil up? Absolutely not. Then why even call it a ritual? The challenger smacked a ceremonial spoon on the table. Speak, defiled one. Accept or yield your human. Brad raised his hand. Hi. Just to clarify, I'm not anyone's anything, I just wanted a damn seat and maybe some peace and Kitana held up a hand. I accept. He froze. You what? You said you were calm. I lied. The alien girl began a bizarre dance involving elbows, snorting, and slapping her chest. Brad whispered. That's the pre-duel stance? No. That's her mating display. You're in trouble. Oh, I am bringing a towel next time. The duel consisted of verbal declarations, bloodline citations, and competitive sauce slinging from pre-selected lunch trays. Brad was thoroughly coated in something called bitterroot bile by the end of it. Kitana emerged victorious by slamming down a vial of her own blood on the challenge stone and declaring, "Let her taste what she fears." No one touched it. The crowd gasped. Again. Brad wiped goo from his ear. Was that necessary? She wanted your juices. She what? Kitana smiled wickedly. Her words. Well, if anyone's going to get my juices, I'd rather it be someone who sits through lunch first. Half the onlookers fainted. They returned to the table. Brad's appetite had miraculously survived. Another student approached. This time male. Slim, blue-scaled, and trembling. He bowed. I asked to enter the pre-bond queue, he said. Brad frowned. Pre-bond queue? Like a waiting list? Kitana didn't blink. He wants to know if he can challenge me for you later. Brad puffed up slightly. So I'm, like, desirable now? You're a status symbol. I've never been a symbol before. Do I get a plaque? You'll get a warning sign. He grinned. Still worth it. As the day went on, word spread fast. By mid-cycle, 3 more students had declared interest in sharing blood proximity, which apparently meant sitting near him. One girl tried to gift him a tooth. Another offered a vial of ancestral mucus. He politely declined both. Kitana dragged him into a hallway, slammed the door, and said, You have to undo this. Undo what? My raw magnetism? This entire blood-fueled mess. You sat down. You spoke casually. You invoked ritual phrasing. You've become a culturally significant aphrodisiac. He blinked. You make that sound like a bad thing. It is when people start writing fanfiction about your fork technique. Wait, they saw that? It's trending. He leaned against the wall. Okay, I admit, this is getting spicy. Spicy gets you dead on this station. Only if you're not into it. She shoved him back into the cafeteria before he could make another pun. Within minutes, a scroll was delivered to Kitana. Handwritten, sealed with blood. She read it aloud. By decree of the Academy Purity Board, your blood class status is under review. Due to bonding with a Terran of unorthodox standing, your contamination rating is being reclassified. Brad blinked. Is that good? You elevated me. He smirked. With my presence alone? Apparently your sheer disregard for tradition is being interpreted as alpha dominance. I am pretty dominant when it comes to cafeteria seating. She stared at him. He stared back. Finally she said, This is all your fault. You're welcome. Another gasp echoed from the tables. Brad leaned in, whispering, Want me to eat your glowing noodle again? She nearly punched him. He wiggled his eyebrows. She whispered, Say one more thing like that and you're getting formally mounted in the wrong sense. He smiled. You do blood bonding, I do wordplay. Together, we're unstoppable. I hate you. No, you don't. She didn't respond. Because she wasn't sure anymore. Brad was now officially a problem. By midday, the Academy issued a bulletin in 5 languages requesting cultural caution around the Terran male currently destabilizing caste traditions through unauthorized social fluid metaphors. He framed it and wore it as a badge. Not every day you make the bulletin board for being juicy, he said, proudly tapping the digital printout on his chest. Kitana yanked it off. Do you want to survive this week or not? I'm a simple man, he replied. I sit down, eat noodles, say something about bonding fluids, and boom, legend. She growled low in her throat. You're not a legend. You're a walking diplomatic hazard. You say that like it's not hot. That earned him a venomous glare, which he completely ignored. Across the hallway, a group of third years watched him like one might watch a grenade with legs. A fourth-year female approached with confidence and a scroll. May I perform the challenge of taste? She asked. No, Kitana snapped. The girl tilted her head. But he has not been properly sampled. Is he not community property now? Brad raised an eyebrow. Community property? She wants to lick you. Kitana deadpanned. I mean, should I charge for it? Brad. I'm just saying. If everyone here's so obsessed with flavor, maybe I could launch a brand. She rolled her eyes. Terran condiments, now inhuman. That actually sounds marketable. You're deranged. You say that like it's a turn-off. A second student joined the first. Then a third. Word had spread again, and now a queue was forming for limited time proximity with the Terran. A drone hovered in and flashed a warning light. Please relocate the biohazardous bonding zone. Cast stability is deteriorating. Kitana smacked the drone out of the air. Fix your hierarchy, not my seat. Brad stood and addressed the group. Look, I appreciate the attention. Really. But I'm not some kind of universal dipping sauce. I'm just a guy who likes lunch and long walks through poorly explained customs. A pause. One of the girls clapped. Another took a bite of glowing fruit and swooned. Kitana grabbed his arm and dragged him away. Congratulations, she muttered. You're a poetic sex symbol now. Been called worse. You've undone centuries of blood separation ritual in 2 days. I mean, why separate blood when you can stir the pot? I swear by my ancestors if you don't stop making sauce jokes. Would you prefer a solid analogy? She threatened bodily harm in 3 languages before they reached the campus fountain, where a small crowd had gathered. At the center stood the blood purity board, 5 high-ranking elders, robes billowing and faces etched in disapproval. Kitana froze. They're here. Who? The purifiers. If they declare our bond invalid, we'll both be reassigned to social filtration duty. Brad squinted. That sounds like janitor work with judgment. Worse. You filter actual fluids. Not a fan of filtering other people's liquids. Then shut up and let me talk. Too late. One of the elders raised a hand. You have destabilized the caste system with your indiscriminate sharing of presents. Brad blinked. Presents? Like my vibes? Your essence. Another clarified. I mean, I did sweat a lot earlier. Gasps. Kitana turned purple. The elder glared. Do you deny public proclamation of blood comfort and mutual ingestion? I literally ate a meat stick and complimented her lunch. A meat stick of connection, the elder replied gravely. Brad scratched his head. Do you guys translate everything into mating poetry? Kitana stepped forward quickly. He is untrained in ritual nuance. Terrans process contact casually. One elder nodded. Primitive blood rites? Very primitive, she agreed. He barely even understands sanitation. Hey, Brad said, offended. I use wipes. The elders huddled. One consulted a scroll. Another sniffed the air. Finally, they turned. We deem your bond unresolved. For balance to be restored, you must undergo the severance of juxtaposed fluids. Brad paled. That sounds like it hurts. Kitana narrowed her eyes. It's a symbolic act. Symbolic like a high five, or symbolic like a bloodletting? Somewhere between divorce and a chili-eating contest. They were handed matching garments, doused in ceremonial oils, and told to recite the unbinding phrases in perfect sync or risk a permanent merge. Brad grinned. So if we mess it up, we're married forever? Stop smiling. I'm not enjoying this. During the ceremony, Kitana's voice was strong. Brad stumbled on the last line and accidentally translated it into, I release your juices with dignity. The ceremony halted. The crowd froze. A child cried. One elder whispered, that was poetic. Another nodded. Unorthodox, yet spiritually moist. Brad turned to Kitana. That a compliment? Shockingly, yes. The board voted. A new decree was issued. The Terran may proceed unbounded. The defiled girl is now considered cleansed by chaos. Students read the update in real time on their scrolls. One murmured, cleansed by chaos, that's hot. Kitana sighed. You've created a movement. Brad pointed to the scroll. Look, you're trending. She peeked. I have fan art. In questionable positions. With sauce packets. Terrans are disturbing. You sat with me. Unfortunately. You bonded with me. Accidentally. You defended me. She hesitated. Intentionally. He smiled. So you like me. I tolerate your proteins. Kitana. She grumbled. Fine. Maybe I like your chaos. He extended his arm. Want to sit together again tomorrow? She looked around. The crowd still watched. Whispers of scandal. Challenges pending. Elders scribbling new caste rules to prevent future Brad-like disruptions. She smirked. Only if you bring sauce. He winked. I always come prepared. Brad. We need to talk. Kitana's tone was that dangerous whisper that made Brad put down his utensil mid-bite. He just speared something gelatinous and vaguely purple. It wobbled ominously, like it knew it wasn't from Earth. Is this about me winning a duel by flinching? He asked, chewing slower. She leaned closer, her voice still hushed. You've started a bloodline war. Brad blinked. Wait. What? I just told that green guy he fights like a wet sock. That green guy, she said, pinching the bridge of her nose, was Lord Tvak. He challenged you to a blood duel for my honor, which, by the way, you accepted by sneezing on him. I was allergic. He smelled like pine and sulfur. That sneeze was interpreted as a counterclaim of blood rights. She hissed. Which you won. Accidentally. While trying to find a napkin. So, what you're saying is, I'm awesome? Kitana glared. No. I'm saying your unfiltered, chaotic human behavior is being interpreted as a masterclass in dominance rituals. Brad leaned back, puffing his chest. I mean, I am pretty dominant. I once won a hot dog eating contest while holding in a sneeze. Brad, she growled. 3 noble houses have now tried to arrange marriage alliances. One sent a whole roasted beast with a note that said claim him with our blood. Do you even understand what that means? No, but I ate the beast. It was good. Little chewy. Kind of spicy. That was a proposal gift, you idiot. Brad paused. Oh. Should I send a thank you card or something? She smacked her head against the table. The cantina quieted around them. Apparently, a forehead smack was considered an ancient sign of submission. More whispers. More confused glances. Brad looked around. Did I just win another blood duel? No, she said wearily. You just accidentally accepted my challenge. His mouth fell open. Wait, you challenged me? When? Just now. The forehead tap. Symbolic aggression of the pre-bonded class. You returned it with laughter, which is seen as mocking acceptance. You've now entered the courtship finals. Brad grinned. So I'm in the finals. Nice. This isn't a tournament, Brad. The next phase is the proving. Just then, a tall, armored female Varnesi stomped toward them. 8 feet tall. 4 arms. Eyes glowing like lava. She dropped a ceremonial blade between them. I claim the male by right of superior blood. He shall know my plasma. Brad leaned toward Kitana. She's kinda hot. In a scary, stabby way. Brad, do not flirt with the Varnasai. He turned to the towering warrior. Hey, listen, I'm flattered, but I've only got one bloodstream and it's currently mingled? The Varnasai glowered. You jest. It is tradition. Spill his blood, earn his genes. I'm not sure that's how genetics works, Brad muttered. Kitana stood up, tail lashing. He's already spoken for. Our bloods have mingled under the one spoon. The entire cantina gasped. A cup clattered. A server fainted. Brad squinted. One spoon? What spoon? Kitana picked up the bent metal utensil from his tray and held it up. You ate from my tray, remember? She said between clenched teeth. That was an accident. I thought that pudding thing was mine. Too late, she whispered. It's binding now. The Varnasai backed off slowly, nodding with respect. Forgive me. I did not realize he was already so spooned. I'm what now? Let it go, Brad, Kitana said, sitting down again. You've become a symbol. A symbol of what? Intergalactic buffet diplomacy? A symbol of defiance. Of forbidden bloodlines. Of mating across class and castes. You've triggered centuries-old traditions that were thought lost. Brad blinked. All because I shared your pudding? Kitana nodded slowly. It wasn't even pudding. That was blood jelly from the sacred Harnath beetle. His face went green. I'm sorry, beetle? You licked the spoon. He dropped it. Okay, I'm never eating again. She smirked. Too late. We're being summoned. Summoned where? High Council. They want to witness your courtship rituals. Brad groaned. Oh God, are they going to watch me eat? Worse. They want you to explain what you did. Every move. Every gesture. Every accidental dominance display. Brad paled. Even when I flexed at the mirror? They interpreted that as a mating signal. It was after the gym. They think it's a pre-bond strength display. He sighed. Well, if I'm going down, I'm going down full, Brad. She raised a brow. And what does that mean? It means I'm bringing hot sauce, Kitana. If they're gonna judge my moves, they're gonna taste my full human flavor. She groaned. That's not how flavor metaphors work here. Doesn't matter. I'm making them work. As they stood and walked out together, more hushed whispers followed. Murmurs of the spoon-bonded couple. Of taboo love. Of sacred sauce rituals and bold blood challenges. Brad leaned over. So we're like bonded now? She looked at him. It's complicated. He grinned. Not for me. You're the only girl here who didn't stab me after dessert. She blinked. That's your standard? He shrugged. Low bar. But hey, I'm bleeding for you. She laughed despite herself. Just don't say that in front of the council. No promises. I bleed where I please. The doors to the High Council opened with a hiss. Hundreds of eyes turned to them. Brad whispered, Time to spoon hard or go home. She sighed. By the stars, what have I done?